Good afternoon. I am Vanessa with the 4 o'clock news on the streets, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. In the headlines, Ministry to monitor supermarkets to ensure the removal of VAT on food items. Health Minister worried that the SOE and curfew end could lead to more COVID spikes. Light vehicles permitted to use part of the priority bus route until further notice. And internationally, coronavirus cases surge faster in New Mexico than in any other state, despite its relatively high vaccination rate. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Trade and Industry will be monitoring supermarkets to ensure the removal of VAT on food items agreed to in the budget are implemented, as some supermarkets had still not updated their prices as recently as November 7th. In a statement, the ministry said its Consumer Affairs Division carried out a monitoring exercise from October 30th and 31st, November 2nd and November 6th and 7th, where food prices were recorded in 32 supermarkets in 16 areas across Trinidad. The ministry said the exercise was done to determine whether or not supermarkets were in compliance with legal notice number 259, which outlines a list of basic food items that became VAT-free from November 1st, 2021. The ministry said most supermarkets were found to be in a transitional phase regarding VAT removal on the relevant items. In other news, with the state of emergency and curfew nearing an end, Health Minister Terence Dialsing has admitted to being concerned that this will lead to a further rise in COVID-19 cases. The minister was responding to a fear that when the SOE comes to an end on November 30th, several people might think that life goes back to normal. Dialsing said he is afraid that the partying is going to start back and cases would most likely skyrocket. He warned TNT that the parallel healthcare system may be overwhelmed. The minister said he was also concerned that people were becoming desensitized to COVID-19 deaths. In more news, light motor vehicles have been given the green light to use part of the priority bus route until further notice. The announcement was made by the Ministry of Works and Transport on Thursday. Drivers can therefore proceed along the PBR from Pasley Street, Beetham to Vieira Street, Port of Spain. Finally, on the international scene, coronavirus cases are surging faster in New Mexico than in any other U.S. state, despite its relatively high vaccination rate, and some hospitals there are overwhelmed. After a quiet spring and summer on the coronavirus front, the past couple of months have been difficult for the state as cases rose rapidly, plateaued, and are now rising again. New daily cases per person are up to 48% over the past 2 weeks, compared with a 6% increase nationwide, according to a New York Times database. Neighboring Colorado, which is facing its own surge, activated crisis care standards on Tuesday that allows the National Guard to support overwhelmed hospitals and allow medical facilities to move staff around. New Mexico was an early leader in vaccinations, and 63% of its population is fully vaccinated, compared with the national average of 58%. It has kept its mask mandate going, although it is set to expire soon without another extension. And that was the 4 o'clock news on the streets, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube. I am Vanessa Thomas. Do enjoy your afternoon and your weekend. Aisha Wells, she's up next.
News from the street. News from the street. 919fm.com.
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families and honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, coffins and cremation trays, cemetery management, limousines, mourners' cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air.
For you. My soul, it longs for you, my Lord. That's what I want, Lord. Fill us up, Lord. Fill us up. There's a difference when the filling come upon you. Oh, my soul, it longs for you. Oh, Jesus. My soul, it longs for you. Oh, Lord. My Father, you're so good, God. We just want more. Oh, Lord. Come on. Don't be afraid to get in that speed. Lord, my soul, it longs for you. My soul, it calls for you. Oh, Lord Jesus. Hey. Let us pray the Holy Ghost touch somebody. Yes, my soul, it longs for you. My soul, it calls for you. Oh, Lord, we want more. Father, Lord. Oh, Lord, we want more. Oh, Lord, we want more. Oh, Lord, we want more. Hallelujah. Come on, we just thirst after the things of. You say, Lord, Matthew chapter 5 says, if I hunger after righteousness, I will be filled. If I hunger, come on, it starts with a desire, guys. If I hunger after righteousness, something is going to happen.